Hiya, my name's Sue. I'm from Greenhill Methodist Church in Sheffield. Been involved for quite a few years at Mercy Church doing the hospitality for our families. I really enjoy it, making people feel welcome, feeding them, making sure they're having a good time is all very, very important for what we're trying to do. I offer a range of foods that hopefully everybody can find some part of the meal that they can enjoy and go away fed and not hungry anymore. We try and do choices of things within our menus so that we're not excluding anybody. That would include people who have special dietary requirements or have particular needs within their requirements. I do find that numbers being told beforehand can be quite problematic. I may be told the night before there are 12 families booked in, then find I'm cooking for 60 to 70 on the day. So numbers have to be elastic and able to be stretched if needed by the numbers that you have coming. It's having a number of alternatives around that give choice but also bulk out how many you originally decide to cater for. For me, I'd average about 50 to 60 and then anything on top is a bonus. We also have the luxury of having a large freezer on the premises, which we often find we can put in extra sauces from the pasta meals or things that will just keep us going for the next time and mean we have very little wastage of food. And we're able to cater then for all different types of occasions. I do find that having the freezer is incredibly useful because it means that I can keep in things like for pasta sauces or lasagnas, etc. We can have in some frozen peppers, frozen peas, carrots. Anything like that means that you've got plenty at your disposal. A good one again is frozen onions, because they're handy not to have to wait the time it takes to peel fresh onions. Although they're lovely, it works just as well to have the prepared frozen ones. And also having some convenience things makes it easier at the time to get everything out and on time for everyone. Our most popular recipe for Mercy Church is a pasta dish whereby we make up quite a large quantity of sauce. We can also have different kinds of pasta with it, which makes it fun. And we also can include gluten-free if that's required. We do a pasta dish because it's just so versatile. People can have the parts that they enjoy. So a child who only wants pasta can have pasta, but if somebody wants the whole works, then that's there and open for them. So it's plenty of choice, everybody goes away happy and well fed. We also have the puddings that go down well are a crumble, often apple or rhubarb, and sponge puddings go down incredibly well, particularly our marbled chocolate one with custard. I do use catering custard for that, which only requires boiling water adding to it, so it's quick to make up and you make up just the amount that you need on the day. Another favourite that we've done is where part of the activities were about making up their food for their pudding, and so we did fruit kebabs that particular day. And so every person knew that if they didn't make a kebab, they weren't going to be able to have anything to eat. But it meant that they chose what they wanted, and again we had no waste because everybody made up what they fancied. For me, shopping is one of those things that I try and get done the day before, because we get there for about 9:30 on the morning, so I prefer to have done it the day before. And as I've said earlier, I do use some catering size because of the numbers of people we have. But you can, do it on the day if that's what you prefer. But it's just having enough for you to be able to cope with those extras that you might not be expecting, but it's also ensuring you've got plenty in your supply cupboard too. I keep a big box at church with the extras in, and so I know I can always delve in and get whatever I need. But that's something that you could do with another person, or have one on the team do the shopping and somebody else leading on the cooking. We make sure that as they come in and sign up and show that they're here, that the menu is there, and it's also the time to check to see if there's any dietary requirements or special requirements made at that time. It can be a challenge at times trying to make sure you've got something for everybody, but with a little bit of thought we try and do that. We look at making sure anybody with an allergen is very much looked after. So for special diets, it's things like for gluten-free, it's always having some pasta on hand, some rice, some alternative that we can make sure is okay for everybody. For dairy free, we make sure that all our fats are non-dairy, so that is the basis of everything that we do. If we have something like cheese, we have the alternative with no dairy in it, or we make sure there's plenty of choice so that no one's missing out if they don't have the cheese. It's handy to have things to hand that will look after certain special diets. So I have things like Alpro custard in tubs available, and I can use them if I need to use them. If the couple of families that we have come in, they're there, we can get them out. They feel welcomed and included because their food is ready for them. Similarly, the gluten-free, I make sure one part of the month we do our Messy Churches monthly. I will make up a cake or a dessert that is totally gluten-free and dairy-free, and then use what we need to that first time, and then put everything into the freezer so that we've got something for subsequent meetings. We have a duty of care to all the people who we're feeding at Messy Church. So for that, at least one person needs to have a food hygiene qualification level 2. If they have got higher, fantastic. It's all about making sure we're current and up to date, and that we pass on those skills to all the team so that we ensure that nothing is going on that shouldn't be. So that would include the latest advice re allergens, and that we get that spot on. We don't want anybody ill. That's not showing God's love by doing a half-hearted job. We want to ensure that everything is properly prepared so that it's safe and able to be, people have confidence in what they're eating and know they're not going to be ill. It's also useful to have somebody who has some first aid knowledge, just so that we're covered for any accidents that may happen in the kitchen. We should be making sure particularly that cuts are covered if they happen, and preferably using blue plasters or something very visible so that they don't get dropped into the food and not recognised. But we want to make sure we cover cuts and know what to do for burns and scalds or trips and falls in a kitchen. It's about being safe. We're looking after not just our families who come in, but the team who are giving up their time and their abilities to ensure that we all benefit. If you hadn't got cooking facilities or very basic ones, it's a bit more of a challenge, but it's more down to preparation of the person. It's either buying food already prepared, or it's preparing it in a hygienic way first and then taking it with you appropriately. If you haven't got a fridge there, make use of the weather. If it's in the colder months, leave things in a car. If they're already wrapped up and covered, then your fridge on your outside cold temperature means you've got extra fridge space, and bring it in nearer to the time of serving. So tips like that are really easy to think of, but if you haven't got a cooker, then that is harder. So it has to be things that are already properly cooked and can easily be served cold. Keeping costs down is always a challenge, particularly when you have families who aren't able to donate very much towards the cost of the food or the morning, which we find is quite a lot of our families. And so I tend to not do very many meat or more expensive foods, because sometimes having cheaper meats can be more difficult to cook and harder to make nice. So it tends to be more of a vegetarian menu that has the elements of choice in, so nobody feels they've missed out. But having small amounts, like having something like tuna mayonnaise with jackets, works well, but it's not necessarily high cost. You can pick up tuna relatively cheaply. Really it's looking at packaged products, trying to buy in bulk if you can, which is why I do a lot of frozen stuff. And it's trying to see it when it's on offer sometimes, but bearing in mind your food hygiene requirements for sell-by dates and best before dates. Part of the hospitality for us is we invite our families to come up to our hatch, which is connected to the kitchen, where my team will be able to serve and give them the amount that they want of what they're having, so that they can feel that they have, again, that choice and element of being involved, and we can have fun as we're serving out that food. And then we also involve them in clearing their tables as well, if they can, so that it means that they feel part of the family, in that they're not having things done to them, but done with us, and we all help together to clear the tables and bring all the washing up into the kitchen. We do our final clear-ups with using the volunteers who've been doing the crafts all morning. They'll come in and help us do the washing up. As you can imagine, washing up for about 80 people takes quite a while, and getting the kitchen back to shape, but it's all part of the fun. We have a lot of fun while we're doing that as a team, because it's part of our sharing together. The people who sit on the tables with the families do have that opportunity to speak about the theme of that day or things that happened, and making sure that those connections are extended and that we're really sharing the love of Jesus in all that we're doing, from the food side as well as from all the other activity that's gone on during Messy Church. I don't think you need to be a chef to do Messy Church. It may help. I'm certainly not a chef. I just enjoy feeding people and seeing the smiles and happy faces when they come and say, "That was lovely, oh, I really enjoyed that," or "Can you give me a recipe for?" It really means they've gone away happy and satisfied, and you see them again the following month. Sharing the gospel during sharing food is more natural and more inclusive. Every age group can participate in that conversation, and things are more relaxed over a meal, and it's a great time to ask questions, get to know one another, and tease out those questions that are there